Now, water shedding has been introduced in parts of KwaZulu-Natal and the Eastern Cape. In fact, last week, Minister Senzo Mchunu visited the Kouga Local Municipality to address water challenges there. But will these planned cuts actually help residents in the long term? Let's bring in the Department of Water and Sanitation's spokesperson, Sputnik Ratau, who joins us via our video link. Sputnik, I suppose the term load shedding was already taken.
Yes, true, Michelle. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Load shedding was already taken, particularly because, yes, we would be shedding a load of water if we were to have done that. But obviously, in this instance, it is water shedding, as some of the municipalities have already started work around that.
I've got a statement here, or rather some research here, news articles around some of the municipalities that are already experiencing water shedding. The Kouga municipality, for one. According to at least some of the experts that have been cited in this particular article, residents are handling it quite well. For those of us in the rest of the country who are not yet at the point where we are also experiencing water shedding, what does it exactly mean, Sputnik?
Water shedding, Michelle, implies that you would close off supply to one area while you are using the same system to supply to other areas, and then revert back from time to time, and in almost a round-robin kind of way. But one of the things that we are very conscious of is that water shedding, though for us is not something that is, the best form of doing, but in a case where it has to be done, we would prefer that it be done where the infrastructure is still quite new, or at least it is still in an operable fashion, because water shedding implies that there would be issues of variance in pressure, and that pressure, when it comes back into the area where there was water shedding earlier, it could easily, where the infrastructure is not stable or is not new or is not operable, then it could actually lead to a creation of infrastructure failure that could actually lead to leakages and water losses as such.
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine that this is a very comfortable exercise for residents, not having water from 10 o'clock to 4 p.m. daily. And it's not something that's in place for the short term either, Sputnik. It's in place, as I understand it, and you'll correct me here, for at least a year.
We would dearly hope that it is not for that amount of time, looking at some of the work that is underway, but also, we can never foretell what the weather would behave like going forward. And we would hope that there is a turnaround in the weather patterns so that we can be able to have the rains in the next season that can then be able to assist us to recharge the catchments and thus the systems. But in the case where that does not happen, it means that we have to make use of all the possibilities that we can to be able to ensure that water is available over a longer period, though it might be uncomfortable because it would imply that from time to time we might need to actually be without. Another side effect from that as well, never mind the technical side, is on the social side, where in the case where my side has been watershed, when that water comes back, the normal practice of people would be then to hoard that water when it comes through. Then everybody fills up the tubs, fills up the swimming pools and all that, which also still puts much pressure on the system itself.
Yeah, I mean, we have the same issue, arguably, when it comes to electricity and load shedding, right? We're being asked to reduce our electricity usage in peak times, but the irony is that people will likely use even more electricity building up to the period of load shedding. So how do you help to mitigate that, Sputnik? Because that will obviously, in the case of water shedding, put added pressure on the infrastructure which is already failing.
Very true. And Michelle, I think it's one thing that we also need to bring to the attention of people, that water is very different in operation from electricity. Where with electricity, it's a matter of switching off, of cutting off by means of switching off from maybe a wall or a plug or anything like that. With water, the impact on the infrastructure is what needs to really be taken care of, because if that is not managed carefully, we might end up losing the very infrastructure that we have right now. And that is something that for the long term, for the even longer term, would not be the best thing that can happen. So that is why we are saying that water shedding in the main would rather be done where the infrastructure is still fairly new. Because in older infrastructure, in aging infrastructure, chances of that infrastructure failing are much more than at any other time.
Sputnik, I imagine residents are incredibly angry by the actions that have been taken, because, you know, it's not up to residents to ensure that the infrastructure is being maintained. Going forward, you know, how do we deal with this maintenance issue, which in large part, is the reason behind this water shedding?
Michelle, it's two things. It's the infrastructure maintenance, it's the infrastructure development as well. But also married to that is something that we have to accept, especially as South Africans, that a reduction of demand is something that we have to really get into our DNA. Because it could be Kouga now, it was the city of Cape Town a while back, but it can be any other place next. So the issues of water demand and water consumption management are things that need to be top of mind. The issue of maintenance of infrastructure is a major issue that we are making a push toward. That is why we then, respond to the issues in Kouga. One of the things that we have said is that we need to assist the metro to manage the water leaks that are already happening in the metro.
Yeah. Sputnik, one thing I will ask you is, because again, this is an issue that ratepayers will tell you about insofar as load shedding is concerned, that they don't really see a difference at the end of the month when they get their bill from the municipality. The electricity cost remains as high, even though my time of actually having access to power was very limited in a given period. Will people see a change in that line item of water because of this water shedding?
It is one of the things that Minister has emphasized that needs to happen, that metering, billing and revenue collection have got to be really brought to top performance. Because without that, one, you lose the revenue that you can collect, but secondly, as you correctly put it, you lose the confidence of the consumers and the customers and clients that you are actually serving, and that does not help. So it is quite important that the billing issue is such that it is as infallible as possible, so that we can make sure that that there are less disputes in terms of how much one has got to pay, but also to make sure that just the systems are correct, and the systems will help in so many other ways, including revenue collection, so that that revenue can then be made available for infrastructure operations and maintenance.
Yeah, and certainly, as we track that story, let's hope that is true. Sputnik Ratau, thanks very much indeed for coming on, spokesperson for the Department of Water and Sanitation there, as we track the story of not load shedding, water shedding in Nelson Mandela Bay.